Illini basketball is 3-0, but now is when the real season starts, and I still have some concerns. Let's talk about it. Locked On Illini, let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to a Monday morning edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Simple reminder, you can help support the program by finding us on your favorite audio platform, finding us right here on YouTube. Obviously, just do a search for Locked On Illini on all your favorite social medias. We're even on Blue Sky now, so send me a message there. Just simply say hello. Sometimes that's all it takes, just to let me know that you guys are watching. And if you are watching, while you're watching, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I think we're at 1529 subs at the start of this episode. So I would love to reach 1530 by the end. Today we're going to talk a little bit about men's basketball, of course. Now 3-0, but we have a big clash coming up Wednesday evening against Alabama. Then also I'm going to talk about, while I might have a couple concerns about the basketball team, the concerns for the football team, not so much. So I'm excited to get to talking about that with you all. Let's go ahead and start with the basketball side. So this episode, and I basically fished for answers from you guys as well. I posted on all the social medias, and I believe the community post on the YouTube. 3-0. Team is off to a very solid start, but I was curious to see if what kind of questions still lingered amongst fans of the team, and what kind of questions or concerns you might have. I'm going to start off with mine, and I'm not sure if the comment section is working or not. If it is, please let me know yours in the chat, and I'll get to it a little bit later. Okay, so question number one for me. When it comes to this Illini basketball team, and again, I want to know your guys' answers as well. 5 seconds left in the game. Illinois down by 1 point. Who does Brad Underwood call the play for? I think earlier on in the season, or at least in the offseason, if we had to project, we all assumed it would have been Kasparas. He has all the makings to be that go-to guy, that killer. But in the first game, Kasparas shot 4 times. And I believe in the last 2 games, he's only shot 3 times. Is he a go-to scorer? Does he want to be a go-to scorer? Right now, Illinois has been very fortunate and very lucky that all 3 teams that we've played and all 3 games we've played in, there hasn't really been a concern about the game getting out of hand, or that we were never really in any sort of pressure-packed situation where we needed a go-to stop or a go-to scorer at the end of the game. But it's going to happen inevitably. Who is that guy? Right now, my guess is Will Riley. I'm guessing, let's just say Wednesday evening, if the game comes down to the final basket, Will Riley is going to get his name called as the guy. Am I okay with that? Sure. Will Riley doesn't seem like he shies from that sort of big moment. He wants to take that basket. Am I comfortable with him doing it? Maybe not so much. As great as he's played in the first 3 games, I do think that he has a tendency to make shots tougher than they need to be. Instead of just taking a regular jump shot, he may try to, move his arms around a little bit or do a double pump here or a fake here, when really it's just go up and shoot. So I do have some concerns that if it is Will Riley early in the season taking those shots, that a difficult shot that there's going to be a lot of pressure already to try to win the game, I think he may make it more complicated than it needs to be. Ultimately, I think the answer here needs to be Kasparas. Well, I've talked about it on this show, and I'm sure it's been talked about on every episode of any other Illini content out there. Kasparas' lack of shot attempts, I'm not going to say it's a huge concern, but as we continue to go game by game, it becomes more of a concern. Apologize if there's a couple internet issues. My apologies. Kasparas, I mean, that's the other question, right? If you have a guy like Kasparas, like, what does he want to be on the offensive side? Is he just a playmaker? That's fine. But then who is the guy that we're going to count on to score 15 points a game? Is it a Visic? Looks like early in the season, it looks like it could be a Visic. But you're counting on a big man. And with the way college basketball has been going, you kind of would prefer to have your guards be those guys. It doesn't look like it's going to be Kylan. Kylan, I think, has a different role than any of us would have imagined. Again, it could be Will Riley, but Will Riley's the guy coming off the bench. The other thing is the offensive identity of this basketball team. We know they like to score. We know they want to be aggressive. But how reliant, and here we go again, me coming back to the same name, how reliant do we want to be on Kasparas? Kasparas had the first 2 games of his career were very good games. And guess what? We won by 30 plus. We scored 90 points in both games. And then in game 3, he struggled a bit. And what happened? The Illinois offense struggled. They scored, 66 points, almost 24 points less than the previous 2 games. Is it an offense where, as Kasparas goes, Illinois goes? Normally, I'd be okay with that. I mean, because I think Kasparas is a really good basketball player. But once Big Ten season rolls around, it's easy to beat a team like Eastern Illinois or SIUE. But as the teams get better, they're going to know, hey, it's time to shut down Kasparas because Illinois can't do anything once Kasparas is struggling. Someone else is going to have to step up, whether it is DGL. Maybe it is Will Riley, just settling down a little bit from him being erratic. And again, I don't mean to be disparaging towards Will. Will has been an absolute godsend, in my opinion, one of the top freshmen in the country, no doubt about it. And I think he's going to be on the All-American freshman team by the end of the year. But the team needs to figure out its identity alongside Kasparas. Because right now, from the preseason to now, I have more questions than I have answers. Because I don't know if Kasparas is going to be the leading scorer on the team like I originally thought he would be. And I don't know who's going to be the guy who's going to be taking the last shot on this basketball team. We're not going to win every game by 15, 20, 30 points. At some point, there's going to be 3 minutes left. We're down 2. And we're going to have to put the ball in the hands of someone we can trust to make that last basket. Or to keep us in the game, to make a clutch basket. Who is that guy? Those are some of the concerns I have. Let me know some of your concerns, and we're going to talk a little bit about football right after this. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made just for super fans like us, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. Whether it comes to a big play in the game or just one of the big matchups like we have coming up against Michigan State. Just remember that 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help you keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. All right, let's talk a little bit football now. Obviously, big victory, 38-16 victory over Michigan State on Saturday. We are now 7-3. 7 wins. We guaranteed ourselves a winning record this year. And, bravo to Brett Bielema, bravo to the coaching staff. We were all on edge. That's putting it mildly, I feel like, about this Michigan State game, a game where we all knew we were probably the better team. And we've been the better team all season long. But with our November issues that we've had over the past couple of years, there was still a level of concern. And what happened? Illinois football came out there and they won by 3 touchdowns. That's kind of all you can ask for. And that's why I kind of thought about this over the weekend. The same time, while I might be having a couple new concerns pop up on the basketball side, my concerns on the football side every week are getting alleviated. We're at the point now where we have to realize that we are in good hands with Brett and this coaching staff and just the way he's running this program. Earlier out in the year, in the previous couple of years, actually, we've struggled in those one-score games. It's one of those where typical Illinois football, we would fumble something at the end of the game and we'd lose. And Brett Bielema had talked about it. That once he took over the job here, that because the program was so down and, fans in general just weren't very optimistic. And it wasn't just fans. It was a culture in the locker room. Illinois football just did not have a history of being positive about anything. And so what he said was, hey, I've got to get this team believing that in those 50-50 games that he's got to flip the switch and that they're going to truly believe that they're going to come out on the victorious side and that they're going to win those games that normally they're just used to losing. And this year, he's kind of done that. We could be down late in football games, but this team, you can tell, believes in itself. The first game I'm thinking about right now is that Purdue game. And again, let me know in the comment section which game also this applies to. In the Purdue game, we gave up God knows how many touchdowns in that second half. And we ended up being down by 6 points. I believe 6 points, maybe a touchdown, with just 50 seconds remaining in that football game. Every year, I feel like, since I've been a football fan, we lose that game. It's one of those where Illini football strikes again. But not anymore. What happens? Yeah, every time they cut to Luke on the sidelines, there's no look of concern. There was more of a look of, let's go. Get me back out on the field. We're going to win this. We'll be fine. And what happened? They drove down the field. 50 seconds. Set themselves up, and they ended up tying the game, ultimately winning in overtime. And that's been a repeated story over and over again this year. These guys they're not feeling sorry for themselves, thinking, hey, we're Illinois, we're going to screw this up. Quite the opposite. They come into every single game thinking they're going to win every single game. I go back to, I believe it was Dylan Rosiak's comments after the Penn State game. Penn State, one of the 5 best teams in the country. We stayed with them until 2 minutes left in the game at Penn State, where they had one of their weird fake whiteout games at night. Anyone should be satisfied with the performance of Illinois football on that day. But Dylan wasn't, and he told us that the locker room wasn't, that they fully planned to go to Penn State to win that game. Which brings me back to this Michigan State team. This was another game where, again, we've struggled, even in our good years, 2 years ago when we started off the season 7-1 and ultimately finished at 8-5. Last year, we seemingly had turned things around midway through the season, and then what happens? We lose a couple of games in a row in November again. And that was the concern this time around. Could it happen again? We've started off the season 6-1, but hey, we've lost 2 in a row now. We're at 6-3. We have winnable games lying ahead, but, and here we go again, but we're Illinois. Brett, as good of a coach as he is, he's been struggling in the month of November until Saturday happened. Brett Bielema had the guys ready, had the guys coached up, and Illinois took care of business the way they needed to take care of business. It's November 18th, and Illinois over the weekend clocked in at number 24 in the in the AP rankings. There were, I believe, two spots out. I believe 27 in the coaches, but 24 in the AP rankings. And I'll be honest, I did not think that was going to happen. I thought if we win out and we end up the season at 9-3, then sure, we'll sneak into the top 25. I did not think it would happen this early. I mean, if you think about it, if we win our final two games, we play against Rutgers on Saturday, and then we have the finale against Northwestern at Wrigley Field. If we win out, finish the season 9-3, we're going to be a top 20 team by the end of the year. Illinois football is going to be a top 20 team. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Illinois football, with 2 games remaining, has the opportunity to be a top 20 team. I'm not going to say we're going to win the final 2 games. I'd be foolish to say that, especially we've shown flaws, right? This is obviously, I've talked about this. We're not a great football team, but I think we're a good football team. We're a good football team that, for the most part, is coached pretty well. I know some of you have your concerns about Barry Lenny Jr. and Aaron Henry, and they have their good days and their bad days, and their good halves and their bad halves. But I think overall, I've gone to this stat in the past, right? Coming into this season, Illinois ranked dead last. That's number 18 of 18 teams when it came to the talent rankings in the entire conference. The amount of talent, at least, according to the 24/7 scale, however they come about that, was less on our side in every single game that we've played this year outside the OOC games. And yet here we sit at 7-3. I think clearly the 5th best team in the Big Ten. The 5th best team in the Big Ten, Illinois football. Coming into a year where our over-under was 5.5. And I guess my point is, we don't have to worry about the November swoon anymore. We don't have to worry about, hey, how is Illinois going to screw this up at the end of the game? We're beyond that now. I'm not saying we're going to win every single time, but football happens. So you are going to lose on occasion. But I no longer am going with the mindset that Illinois is going to screw this up. And that goes for November as well. Again, I believe Rutgers is favored on Saturday. Someone explain this to me. I mean, I guess because they're at home and they've had a couple decent wins in a row now. But I think Illinois is the better football team. I'll be having Aaron Brightman on the show. Got to check out his show. He's one of the best. I think he's the best Rutgers content creator out there. He's going to be joining the show later this week, and we're going to be previewing that game. But I'll be honest, I'm surprised. I think Rutgers, it opened up as a pick-em, but as of this morning, at least right before I started recording, the game was Rutgers -1.5. I think it's a game that Illinois can, and I can't believe I'm saying this, should win. Doesn't mean that they're going to. But again, it's time to trust Brett when he says he knows what he needs to do. He knows which mindsets he's got to change. He's already got belief in that locker room. And if you don't believe me, watch any of the press conferences, watch any of the media sessions where they talk to these players. These players are echoing what that coaching staff is telling them because they believe. And quite honestly, if they believe, why shouldn't we believe? Illinois fans, now we're proud of our basketball team. It's time to show support to this football team. And I'm not just talking about support in the sense where attend the games and stuff like that. Of course, that goes without saying. But Brett Bielema now has us in a position where we don't have to feel sorry for ourselves. Illinois has a chance to finish 5th in this Big Ten conference. We have a chance to go to a very good bowl game. I would love to go to Florida for one of their bowl games this year. And guess what? Next year, I think we get even better, especially if we have Luke Altmaier returning. Sure, we're going to lose a couple wide receivers, and some seniors on this team. But you know what? I'm no longer at the point where I'm scared of football season every single year. I trust Brett. And I'm not saying that you have to, but it might be time to consider it because Illinois football, we're on our way. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Speaking of Northwestern, in 2 weeks, I will be in Chicago. And I have full plans on attending that game. And while I don't have tickets yet, I will be looking on the Game Time app to secure those tickets. And why not? They give me all-in pricing. Touting the feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee. Or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So as most of you guys know, on Tuesday's episodes, I donate $100 to, it's one of our promos, Roy, and basically it's to who I consider the best player from the previous week. It's kind of like a direct way for NIL. This part's not a promo, by the way. This part I'm asking for feedback from you guys. $100 every week. I do this on the Tuesday or Wednesday episode. So as soon as I'm done here, I've got to figure out who I'm going to donate to this week. So I want your guys' feedback. This is a way for you guys, even if you guys can't do it yourself, although if you can, please do download that Roy app. Let me know who you think I should make $100 richer this particular week. Let me know in the comment section. Pat Bryant had a great game. Josh McCray had 3 touchdowns. Luke Altmaier had a solid game. T-Ray Edwards had a good game on the defensive side. I talked about Hank Beatty, and who at this point, every time you punt to the guy, I trust him, even in high stressful situations, to give us good field positioning. So let me know who you guys want me to donate that money to. And while you're here, again, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. You guys have been fantastic with the support, and I continue to make daily content for you guys every single day for that reason. It's about, we're a couple minutes away before the Illini women's basketball game starts. So please, show your support to that program. They're on their way up. I love what Shauna Green's doing. To the comments real quick. Happy Hermit says, don't jinx us, Sunny. I'm not trying to. And again, I'm not setting expectations that we should finish the season 9-3. But, I know you're just joking around, but it's like, that's the type of mindset, right? It's like, let's not get too cocky, but when have you had to tell Illinois fans to not be too cocky? Right? It's always the opposite. And so I guess the same way you're telling me not to jinx us, from the optimistic point of view, all I'm saying is let's not be too pessimistic either. We have a good football team, and we have a football team that's being led by a coaching staff that just knows what they're doing. And ultimately, that's all you can really ask for. That's going to just about wrap it up for today's episode of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. Greg Shimon puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Appreciate you joining us. Again, I'm going to have content every single day. My notes are filling up with different topics and ideas I want to talk about. If you have something you want me to discuss, let me know. Either shoot me a DM on one of the social media, send me a message, find me. Anyway, I'm pretty easy to find now. Sunny Verma, Illini Cast on Twitter, or the Sunny V on Twitter. Just send me a message. Again, as much I have plenty of content ideas, but you guys are the audience, and it might be my show, but it's really your show as well. If there's a topic that you feel like other people aren't touching and you want me to talk about, let me know. As soon as this is over, I'm going to go over the All-22, which I just received, and hopefully we'll have player grades out later on. But Tuesday is also going to be I'll be joined by Big Ten Ted, so that'll be fun, and we'll preview that Rutgers game again. We'll also have Aaron Brightman on later this week to discuss that game. But I appreciate all of you guys joining us. Again, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys a little later. ILL, love you guys.